wanted to watch people have fun with cars. But then for the casual people, you have to do something stupid like bungee jump off with a car off the side of a dam. And it's like, I'm not interested. Maybe it's because I hosted Fear Factor for so long. I've seen so many things like that. They're not interesting to me. I want to hear a car enthusiast rave about the fun they're having while they're driving an automobile.
Maybe you should produce a car show. I've got an idea. I'll pitch it to you afterwards. But you're quite right.
There's plenty of market for that.
There is, and actually, this is the country for it.
Yeah.
You know, maybe in Europe it's less, but I know that when we did geeky car stuff that was very, for you and I, the numbers did that.
Yeah.
And the moment you did something hyperbolic and ridiculous, the numbers did that.
But what about online?
Online is totally different.
Yes, right? So that's where it belongs. Like where I found about you was online.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what was the first video that I watched of you, but I do remember that green Porsche.
Yeah.
I remember that's when I was
a long
like,
time ago.
Oh my God.
And and that's where I started out, and I suspect I'll return there. I've got plans to relaunch the YouTube channel in the next month or two, and there's content coming. And YouTube's a very different place to when I left it. And it's pretty surprising. There's so much motoring content out there. It's almost saturated.
It's very, very saturated. And there's so many different types of markets now, too.
Yeah. And the idea of being at the behest of an algorithm is terrifying. If you've just received, check from a network for 6 years of your life, suddenly going, I'll go in with the algorithm, that's quite scary.
It is, but all you need is one thing to take off, and then all of a sudden you're being suggested to millions and millions of people, which is interesting about the algorithm. And if you just look up one type of vehicle, then you're like, I really just got interested really recently in the Ineos Grenadier.
Yeah.
I was like, what a fascinating idea. What a limited market, by the way, too.
Well, that actually, ironically, is the only example of a brand new resto mod, isn't it, really?
Yes. Similar. I mean, it's essentially a new vehicle, but for the casual, it looks like a Defender.
Yeah.
It really does. But it kind of quite a bit better.
Yeah.
And, really interesting. BMW, 6-cylinder supercharged engine. And so now when I open up YouTube, it's like all Grenadiers. It's all Ineos. Like they just constantly... all these off-roading Australia dudes and all these different people like sending me these things.
I think you're right. It does belong on YouTube. I mean, linear television. I joined a TV show when linear television still survived. Well, I understand destination television.
Sure.
It's gone now.
It's gone.
The world's changed completely. Top Gear still has a place in it. Many of my previous colleagues make a lot of online content for Top Gear. They do a great job. There's some really good films. But there's something quite romantic for me about the sit down, squidge onto the sofa with as a family and watch 8 o'clock Sunday night. It was a quasi religious experience, really.
But it was in a time where people didn't have smartphones.
You're quite right.
That's gone. That waiting for a very specific time to watch a program. No one is interested in that anymore.
I know. It's strange, isn't it? Because it's logical that they wouldn't, because no one has any patience because of the immediacy of these things.
Yes.
But there's equally something quite lovely about what we used to do.
Right.
I can't really reconcile it. I totally acknowledge the excitement of the new, but I'm slightly wistful for the past. Is that fair
I see
enough?
what you're saying. The only thing that still exists that you have to wait for is live sports.
Yeah.
So live sports, when you're watching a game, the game starts at 8 p.m. You have to be there at 8 p.m. It's not going to wait for you. There it is.
And the podcast as a concept is amazing as well. I've got to be a bit cheesy. I have got a podcast, which I don't. When's this going to go out? Is this going out a day after we record this?
Yeah, pretty soon.
Well, the day after that, my new podcast launches. I didn't realise that.
What's it called?
It's a really, really interesting name.
Chris Harris on cars.
Chris Harris and Friends Car Podcast is what it's called. Because I just thought, well, it's
perfect.
Heinz tomato ketchup.
Yeah.
So that really is a nerd product. So one of the things I did as by way of therapy was I did a car podcast in the immediate aftermath of this accident, because I realised I wanted to have contact with this world. I think that the moment your life gets difficult, you regress to what is your comfort food. Mm-hmm. My comfort food is cars.
Right.
And I love cars. They make me happy.
Well, I would much prefer you without producers and network executives and all these different people telling you what to do. I like what I like about podcasts, what I like about YouTube content from people like Matt Farah is I know it's one human being. This is their perspective. This is what they enjoy. They really do love these vehicles, and they talk about it without any influence of other human beings. So you're getting this singular viewpoint, which I think is the most attractive thing about it.